Hey guys, this is Felicia with phylitinmedicine, and as promised, I'm coming back out with more content and information for you guys. As promised, trying to be more consistent as I find time to talk to you guys about the tea, the struggles, and the successes of medical. So something that was really on my mind this past week, or a theme that I felt like kept coming up, was how to deal with stress. Like, how do you cope in a stressful environment? And I feel like, I told you 2 weeks ago, today is Sunday, September the 15th, by the way. So I told you 2 weeks ago that, I had upcoming exams and that M2 is, a little bit more beastly than M1 year. For the month of September going into October, I pretty much have exams every week, and I have other little mandatory things entwined in between those days. And I found that this week was just like really, really, really jam-packed for me, specifically on September 10th. I told you I live and die by a calendar, so I had to refer to that. But September 10th, that Tuesday, I already knew that if I could make it through this day, like, I feel like I could handle like any little day that my school wants to throw at me, because I was up from 6:30 in the morning and it was no stopping, like go the entire day. Like, I would have 30 minutes and it would be like, what are you gonna do in these 30 minutes? You gonna eat? You gonna try to look at a lecture? Like, what are you gonna do? And so I really maximized my time. I would say I was very productive that day. But on that morning, I woke up and I recognized that this week was gonna be very stressful. There were a lot of things that I needed to get done. I had an exam on Friday, and I just really surrendered. I surrendered to the stress, and I started off my day with, we're gonna throw on some gospel. We're gonna throw on some music that's gonna help you go through. And I am not want to, try to make it seem like I listen to gospel every day. I don't, but I knew I needed to lean on the Lord. I needed a little extra strength that I knew that wasn't coming from my human body alone. So I think if you're spiritual, even if you don't go to church all the time, but like, you believe in a higher being, if you need to like meditate, if you need to get your mind right, and whatever that looks like, if that means, praying, talking to God, like, hey God, I need you to take one for the team. I need you to really hold me down. Do that. I also feel like with dealing with stress, what has been helpful for me, like I said before in my other videos, is like writing things down, like knowing where I'm supposed to be, because I feel like our mind, it can race so much and you have so many things to do that you can forget things. There can be an oversight. So you want to make sure that you know exactly where you're supposed to be. And I think surrounding yourself with the right people is very helpful. I definitely think by my second year, I know who my people are, and I know who I can talk to at what point, and realizing and recognizing that you guys are not alone in this. And also another thing that's been helpful for me is recognizing your triggers. That is very important in medical school. Like, recognizing, like, okay, if I am studying and if I see a whole lot of people looking frantic, does that trigger me, or does that motivate me to know that, like, hey, we're all in this together and we're studying? Because sometimes you need to isolate yourself. And another thing for me is, sometimes when I'm studying, I like to go study. We have like an outside area, and I'll go do that, because like, if I'm going to be in school for 12 hours or 14 hours and the day is a nice day and I want to get some sun, like, I'm going to go outside. I may eat my lunch out there, or I may run through some Ankis or whatever outside, like enjoying the day in some capacity, even if it's for like 20 minutes. But that makes me feel better. So I think, recognizing your triggers, finding your people will help you deal with a very stressful environment. And also recognizing when to take a break. Like, sometimes it's a lot going on and you need to just pause, go call a friend, go find out what's going back at home, like, any little drama or tea or whatever, like whatever's gonna pick your spirits up. There's many times that I may call my nephew, or I may call my mom. Like, I just need to see somebody's face that reminds me that, like, there's another side of Felicia that's not a med student. So that's really, really helpful. And okay, so I told you guys that I am going to be talking about probably some type of studying skill every time I make a video, because we all go to med school, like, so that's gonna be my primary focus in talking to you guys. So, and giving you the tea. So I had an exam on Friday, and on Wednesday while I was studying, I needed to take practice questions. I had it on my agenda to take practice questions from like Monday, and I had not done it. So I had to really force myself, like, you know what, Felicia, your test is on Friday. You really, 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 really need to sit down and do these questions. Even though I did not feel ready, I felt like I knew I had to do it. So I took these questions, right? I told you I'm phylitinmedicine. I'm gonna give you the real tea. I'm gonna keep it honest. I took these practice questions, y'all, that was created by, I think, a student a couple years older than me, and these questions are really, really helpful, and they pretty much correlate to each lecture that I had, and it was a way to see like, hey, Felicia, what do you know? And I took this test, and according to the data, I didn't really know much, I had information, but clearly I wasn't applying it in the correct way. And so, although I was like, oh my God, this isn't wonderful, I strategically, and this also helped me with my stress level, that I knew I was going to do these practice questions on Wednesday versus Thursday, because I know that I have a sensitive ego, right? And I know that if I prep and if I take practice questions to assess how I'm performing or how I will perform on my exam, and I do it the day before my test, I would be crushed. Like, I would be hurt. I would be feeling very stressed out. And so that's a trigger. I know that for me, in preparing for exams, I need to go in there as confident as possible. I know that there's certain things I can do or cannot do, or it's going to make me feel very anxious, and then that's going to trigger me, and I'm going to go into the test and I'm going to freak out. So I was like, you know what? It's Wednesday night. My ego can handle a hit. Like, it can handle it. So I took it, and I was just like, okay, cool. This assessment is just letting me know where to tighten up. And that's how you need to look at practice questions. It's letting you know, where do I need to tighten up? So I took it, and when I tell you it was bad, it was like bad. Like, if I had like 19 lectures, maybe 4 was like above 70 that I want. And again, I'm gonna keep it real transparent with y'all, like real transparent. So the other quizzes were horrible. It was like, woohoo, you have a lot to learn, but that's fine. What I did the next day was, I thought I underestimated how long it was going to take me to review my questions, but what I did was I reviewed each quiz, and when I was taking the quiz, I would write down my answers, and sometimes if I didn't know my answer, or if I was unsure of my choice, I would put a question mark. And so when I was reviewing it, if I got something wrong, I definitely was reviewing it, and even if I got it right, if I put a question mark, it means that I got it right by luck. So I was definitely going to review that as well. So when I was reviewing it the next day, which was Thursday, I went through each lecture, and I'll go through the question. I'll review the question like, okay, that was the question, this is what you put, or this was wrong, or whatever the case may be. So if it was wrong or I put a question mark, I went back to my lecture note, I found exactly where that information was coming from, and I read up on it really quickly. And so even though it was very, very, very time consuming, it allowed me to go through the material, all of the material, right? And it was an active way in getting through the material. And I am using Anki more, yes, but I found that me going through my quiz the way I did was better than doing Anki in that moment, because I wasn't just memorizing facts or answering questions, but I was being able now to deduce why something was right, why something was wrong, and kind of think a little bit more analytical, which is what you need to do on my exam on Friday. So I found that to be very, very helpful, and I knew that worked because when I took quizzes again from another set of students on Thursday evening on those same concepts, but word a different set of questions, I killed those quizzes. Like, I was only missing 2 questions versus before I probably was only getting 2 right. But that was very helpful, and it confirmed that what I was doing was working. So I definitely walked out there like, questions and answers are key. I've been saying it, people have been telling me, but I already know it's a game changer. And I was a little nervous or apprehensive because I didn't get to do that many outside questions from Q banks that I did before for my first GI exam. So I was a little nervous, but at the same time I was confident that I had seen all the material and I knew the information. And another thing that's been helpful with handling the stressful environment, especially with exams, because sometimes for me exams can be very anxiety provoking, is that recognizing that you've done everything that you can do. And I feel like once you know that, like, you put in that work, you put in that time, you put in those hours, you don't feel good, like you don't feel confident. You might feel unsure, like don't get it twisted. You can still do all of that and then still feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I did well. But if you can honestly say, like, hey, I did my practice questions, I did my Ankis, I did my study session groups, I reviewed the material, like the stuff that I was weak on, I tried to strengthen it, and recognizing that you're not going to know everything, but you know enough to sort through the questions and you can rule things out. I think that's the most beneficial thing you can do, and then you can be a little bit more at ease and forgiving with yourself, and I think that's half the battle. And definitely working out more has been helping your girl with the stress. And you know, my body ain't complaining either, but you know, that's another story for a different day. I just want to say exercise has definitely been helpful in my stress. And so that's pretty much it. This video is getting super long, but I just want to check in with you and talk to you about how to cope with a stressful environment. So again, knowing your triggers, avoiding those triggers, not allowing people's stress to become your stress, and also almost walked out without this jewel. Recognizing what is a today problem, a tomorrow problem, or let's table it for next week. Because there's so many things coming at us so fast. Like on, I think it was Monday, I don't remember what day of the week, my school introduced what we're going to be doing or what we should expect for our third year and rotations and all of that jazz. And it was a lot, and it's something that I still need to think about. But I also recognized that my exam was on Friday, and dealing with the clinical stuff, I didn't have to really worry about that or think about it more until like December or January. So that's definitely not a today problem. And I think when you start triaging your what is immediately needing help with now, that's going to help your stress, because every day something's going to be required of you at your school. And also recognizing that you have some autonomy, but you don't have complete autonomy of your schedule, will also let you cope with things better. And side note, I went out with a friend yesterday and we took a random day trip and we didn't do anything medically related, and on our way back I took a sigh of relief and I was like, this was good. And I felt good because I felt like I could breathe, because I felt like I had some control over my schedule. And I think that's a lot of the components of why sometimes as a med student you feel so stressed, is because you feel like you don't have any control over your life. You're always studying. And I think that if you can take a step back, sometimes look at your schedule, see if you got a little free moment, or sometimes take a free moment even if you don't have a free moment, to breathe, relax, enjoy life. Because guess what, life is not on pause while you're in medical school. So I just want to share that with you. And I'm super excited because on my Instagram page, which is phylitinmedicine, which is phylitinmedicine on Instagram, right? I got 2 questions because I asked, like, what is something that you would want to know? And I'm so eager that you guys have participated. So one question was, what has been my biggest challenge in med school so far? So my biggest challenge, I would say, has been comparison. I'm super guilty of it, and I know I should not do it, but I do it. I tend to compare myself, like, oh, this person is not studying as much, or this person is like killing it all the time and they don't have to stress and And you know, comparison is a thief of all joy. Like, it just, you can be happy in one moment about an accomplishment that you had, and then you're gonna look to the left and somebody, you know, probably did a better job at something else, and then now you're crushed. Or you look to the right and it's just like, dag, like I was happy with this X number on my grade and then on my exam, and then this person did it, or they did it and they seem to have like didn't really study, because maybe you noticed on Instagram they were here, there, and everywhere, you know. And so I have struggled with that. I think this year I've become a little better with realizing that, like, hey, like, that's nice for you, cool, whatever. So it's something that I'm still working on daily, but that's definitely been my biggest challenge, is comparison. And something that I also realized too this year in like some of our small group sessions is that everybody has different strengths, right? So I used to always be like, oh my gosh, like with school, you know, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort for me to perform on a certain level that I think is acceptable, and where it seems like other people it's super easy, right? But then there's been other situations where things have come to me very easy, and for somebody else I see how they've had to take a little bit of extra time to perform, right? And so it was just a nice friendly reminder that, Felicia, yeah, there's things that you're going to be really strong on, there's going to be things that you are weak on, there are things that maybe you're just satisfactory, and that's fine. But recognize your strengths, work on those strengths, flaunt those strengths, and there's going to be things that you're weak on, and guess what, strengthen those weaknesses and get better. That's it. And my second question was, how much longer until you're done? what part of medicine do you love the best, and where do you plan to be, which I think is probably practice. So the first question is, how much longer until you're done? So I'm a second year. I have 2 more years until I graduate. So your girl gonna have her medical degree. You know what I mean? Dr. Thomas. You know, dumb hype. But then I have to do my residency training, whatever specialty I pick, and that can range from like 3 to 4 years. The ones that I'm looking at, 3 to 4. But if you're interested in surgery, that can go from like 5 to 10, depending on what you're trying to do. 5 to 7, whatever. And what part of medicine do you love the best? So something that has drawn me to medicine is that I really, really love the patient-doctor relationship and how vulnerable people are with you or have to be with you in order to get great care. And so I love the relationship aspect of medicine. And then another thing is I love being a minority in medicine because I know what that's meaning for my community. I see how, older individuals see me and receive me in certain clinical settings, and they're super excited because there's not that many of us in medicine. And so being able to be that difference to help increase that number of minorities in medicine is something that I'm truly, truly happy and grateful for this opportunity. And I'm sorry to go back, but this was something that pushed me during this tough week, was that I had to remember I used to cry. Like, I used to bawl to be in medical school. Like, I wanted it so bad. And so in those stressful moments, I had to think about those days like, Felicia, you cried to be here. So every day I have to enjoy, and every day I have to try to push it out, and every day I have to intentionally choose to be happy. I have to choose to be like focused, like, because this is what you cried for. This is what you prayed for. This is what you cried for. So you gotta push it out. And where do you plan to be? So I'm originally from New York, of course, and now I'm in Philadelphia. And these places are cold. So in an ideal world, I want to probably be somewhere warmer. So wherever the world, I shouldn't even say where in the world, wherever, God sends me, I'll be fine. But I prefer to be somewhere cold to practice. And I still want to probably practice in like an urban community and deal with that type of population. So we'll see. But it was nice talking with you all and catching you up. And I hope you watch more of my videos. And I hope you tell a friend to do what? Subscribe to Philly Medicine. Duh. Thank you for watching. And of course, comment below, like, subscribe, and leave some comments so I can answer you guys back because I'm here for y'all. Bye.